Welcome to Run SDJ. I'm Steve and I'm an everyday runner who likes to share my experiences here on YouTube. Today I want to discuss how I've optimized my Garmin watch for following training plans and for races. But before I go any further, just to say that I'm not sponsored or affiliated with Garmin or any of the other products or apps that I'll be discussing in this video. So all the views are my own. Over the last year, I've used the online structured training plan Runner, which sends workouts to my watch. But these tips should also be applicable to people using Cooper, Garmin Coach, or self-created workouts, or even if you're not using workouts at all. Some of these tips may be obvious, but I've spoken to quite a lot of people this year who are unaware you are able to do this with your watch. I've recently started using a Garmin Epix Pro 2, but these tips apply to many modern Garmin watches such as the Forerunner and the Phoenix ranges. My main learning this year to optimize my watch has been to create different running activity types for various runs. Garmin offers several running activities baked into the watch, but these are more based on where I am running, such as the road, the trek, or the trail. I prefer options based on what type of run I'm doing. These different types could all be road-based, for example, but have a different training focus. For me, this means I want different data screens, alerts, and laps set up for these types of runs. And this is where the copy activity function in the Garmin watch is really useful. By using copy activity, I have created 3 variations of the run activity called Run 1K laps, Run 5K laps, and Run workout. To copy an activity type, you go into the watch settings by long pressing on the up/menu button. Scroll down the options until you see activities and apps and go into that menu. Select the activity you want to copy, in this case, run. Scroll down the menu until you see the copy activity option. You'll then be given the opportunity to give your new activity a different name to the one that you are copying. I suggest something succinct but descriptive that explains its more bespoke function, like my earlier examples. Then you'll be able to amend all of the settings for your new activity, such as data screens, alerts, and auto laps. Add the new activity to your favorites and have these easily selectable from your menu rather than having to tweak activities every time you run. Now, before I go any further, and I don't often do this mid-video, but if you're enjoying this or any of my other videos, please consider subscribing to my channel. Over 90% of my watch time in recent months has been from non-subscribers. I'm incredibly close to 1,000 subscribers now, which is a very magic number in YouTube land, and every subscriber really does count. But for now, back to the video. So here are my choices, reasons, and use cases, starting with Run Workout. I use this one the most during a training block for road-based workouts that are pushed from my training plan app. This activity disables the auto lap function, setting it to manual only. The watch then laps based on the workout structure that is pushed by the workout app rather than the default, which is usually 1 kilometer. For example, this 16K progression long run has a 6, a 5 and a 4K section with specific pace targets and a 1K comfortable pace at the end. I don't want information every kilometer. I want it for the current section I am in and for the overall run. So my main data screen for Run Workout is quite busy, but I don't mind this. It shows the overall time, overall distance and pace, the lap time, lap distance and pace, my heart rate and the time of day. Next, Run 1K laps is a renamed version of the default run activity. This activity keeps the auto laps enabled every 1K. I use this for 5K runs like Parkrun or a 10K race where I want to monitor my pace more regularly. This has a simpler data screen which shows my overall time, distance and pace, my lap distance and pace, and my heart rate. For marathons themselves, I use the Run 5K laps activity. I don't like to follow the trading app's workout on marathon day. This is definitely a personal choice, but my experience this year finds that this can be quite distracting. I know what I need to do on race day and I prefer to set that up myself. I certainly don't want to be reminded of my pace every kilometre, as it really slows me down mentally. Instead, I set auto laps to 5k, so I'm told how the last 5k went. I also have alerts to remind me to eat every 6 kilometres and take on electrolytes every 10 kilometres. I use the quick workout function within the activity to set my distance and my personal time goals for the marathon. The data screen here displays overall time, distance and pace, lap distance and pace for those 5k splits, the time of day, and how far ahead or behind my target time I am, and my heart rate. I also have a second screen set up to reference my last 5k lap time. After refining this mode following the Paris Marathon, I used it during the Chicago Marathon, and it did everything I wanted it to help me get through the race. I didn't forget to eat or take electrolytes.
My watch is telling me to eat and hydrate. Hold on.
I also knew I was on track in the first half of the marathon.
Through the half marathon in 1:53. We are 38 seconds ahead of schedule.
But I fell off the pace in the second half.
Okay, so 35k. That 5k was 37:41, I think. So we have, you could say, hit a little bit of a wall.
If you want, you can go and watch my Chicago Marathon vlog to see how the watch helped me get through the race. Outside of my own created activities, I do a lot of my interval sessions at a running track. I use the baked-in track run setting, but I modify it in a couple of ways. I turn auto lap onto manual, as I want my laps to be paced on the workout rather than the 1600 meters, which is the default for the track run. Also, by default, the data screen tells me my current pace, which I hate. I personally find it hard to dial in my pace splits based on this, so I simply change that to lap pace. The only drawback is that I can't turn off the pace alarms that tell me if I'm going too fast or too slow. Another personal thing, you might find that helpful, but I prefer the setup of my data screens to give me that information rather than incessant alarms. So if Garmin, if you're listening, please give us the option to turn that off. My data screens for track run is a lot simpler than on my road runs. I simply use lap time, lap distance, lap pace, and my heart rate. So that's it. Hopefully not rocket science, and you might have learned a few ways to optimize your own device to get the most out of it in your training. And if you've liked this video, please give it a like. And as I said earlier, think about subscribing to my channel, and I will see you next time. See ya.